What's happening, everybody, and welcome to another installment of the NBA Files. As always, I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones, joined by my humbled casual Friday dressing co-host secretary.
Last week I was too dressed. This week I took a step back. Now
we got a parade going through.
Hey, look at that. I don't know. Hey, welcome all you tourist people. Welcome to Philadelphia. Get a cheap
downtown studios in downtown studios here in Philly. Cam. Yep. Exciting times, exciting things going on. Unfortunately, those exciting times have not translated for one Markelle Fultz.
Oh.
So Markelle Fultz played one game.
Yeah.
Shot 12 for 13.
2 for 13.
2 for 13.
We shot 12 for 13. People
be happy. Yeah. Shot 2 for 13. He looked like Markelle Fultz. He looked like a guy that came from a 9-win team. They want to run him out of town. Ben Simmons looked aggressive on his way to a 8-point performance.
Well, I mean, he only played, most of the first half. He didn't really play a lot in the second,
Should Sixer fans already be concerned about Markelle Fultz? Is their concern warranted, I guess?
Okay, so in the words of the great philosopher Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. It is one game. We're quoting
Aaron Rodgers?
Correct. It is one game and it is preseason.
One championship, Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, it's one game and it's one preseason game. Let's wait till competition counts. Let's wait until it starts. Remember, the NBA speed is a lot different than what he was playing over there at Washington, okay? The speed of the game is different. The expectations are different. He's playing with a real coach, okay? And he's going to have an opportunity to learn how to play at the highest elite level of basketball. It takes a little bit of an adjustment. Ben Simmons, for as great as he looked, hasn't played basketball in a year, and he still looked lost, okay? So give the kid a chance to gel. A little bit. He still can't shoot. That little Instagram video he made was clearly a one-off because he couldn't hit anything when he played in real game speed. But let's see what it looks like, when games start counting. Let's see what it looks like, 20 games in, 30 games in. If he's still shooting 2 for 13, let's go ahead and ring an alarm, but not yet.
I want to see how long you can peddle that BS.
Listen,
how long you can peddle that BS.
I'm just telling you.
Well, there's a difference between looking lost and looking rusty. Ben Simmons looked rusty.
Okay.
Markelle looked lost. All right.
On defense.
He looked lost on the basketball court. Other than arriving to the stadium and finding his way there, he needed to take that GPS with him.
Listen, he was aggressive. He shot 13 times.
Okay. The people concerned about Fultz really had no idea about the type of player he was.
Okay.
So this was their first time actually seeing Markelle play, and they're a little alarmed that a player that often at times plays on an island really didn't do anything, didn't move well without the basketball, but that's what it is.
He's a ball-dominant guard.
The bigger problem I had with it was the man shot 2 for 13, admittedly didn't play well, and was in no rush to get back on the court. They had a game. He didn't want to get that bad taste out of his mouth. He was cool with sitting the very next game. So when I watched Josh Jackson go for 12 points. I think he actually had 11 points, but shoot 1 for 3 from the 3 line. Mm-hmm. Guy who was supposed to struggle with the 3-point shot. Go for 8 rebounds. Yeah. I watched Lonzo Ball struggle and still almost drop a triple-double. You know what I mean? And watch Tatum drop 11 points off the bench and air openers, and I see folks not even worry about getting back on the court.
I screamed that Josh Jackson was the guy, just for the record.
Yeah, but even aside from that, we got to deal with what we got now.
That's true.
We can't go back.
He's the number 1 overall pick because he's highly talented.
Allegedly.
Listen.
Let's be realistic.
Listen, nobody screamed any other names over him.
Who are the best 2 franchises in the NBA? Give me 2 franchises in the NBA that are the 2.
Right now?
But no, over the duration of the league. The league's a fairly young league. It's only 6 years old.
Okay, Lakers and Celtics.
And who are the 2 teams that passed on him?
Lakers and Celtics. Well, the Lakers didn't move up to get him. They took who was there. Celtics passed on him.
Okay, the Lakers were going to pass on him too. It was all, for all intents and purposes, Lakers were going to pass on him too. So with that being said, the Sixers are known to screw up a draft pick or 2. They're true. Known to make some mistakes.
Hey, Okafor looked good.
I take Fultz. So now he's struggling. I'm not surprised. It all matches to me. It all matches. I do think the hype was a little bit much, which brings me to my next question. Was there too much hype for the Sixers group? Because that should be the question. I think Fultz is who we thought he was.
I think there's a little bit too much hype in the fact that everybody expected Joel Embiid to actually play 55, 60 games this year.
No, and I don't think they did. Only Perry list started.
Listen,
Joel.
I'm telling you, people legitimately think the Sixers are a playoff team because they expect Embiid to play 50, 60 games. And I'm saying to myself, the man's never played over 30 games in his life. How do you expect him to play 60 games? It's
he hasn't
nonsense.
played 60 games in accumulation of 4 or 5 years.
And that's the point I'm making. So you're basing the stock of your team on Ben Simmons, who, albeit a talent, is at best a poor man Giannis Antetokounmpo right now, okay? He's a poor man's Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is a star, but didn't come in the league as a star because remember he was a mid-tier draft pick. He took a little while to develop. So will Ben Simmons because he still has to develop a jumper and be a little more consistent on both sides of the ball. But the one thing that I will say is that when you look at how the Sixers have progressed, they've built a team of young players. They've got cap now. They really need a splash in free agency, a guy that's going to come in and make them better. And JJ Redick at $23 million is not that guy.
JJ Redick said splash from the three. JJ Redick from the splash.
He did hit threes.
He hit a couple of them, and they still lost.
But they still lost. Because he has no impact outside of shooting threes.
I don't think it was too much hype. I think when you have a guy like Ben Simmons who is supposed to carry the league to his next plateau, supposed to be that guy. Look, he's
Giannis Antetokounmpo will do that.
Look, if you got a name that's got 72 syllables in it, no one is trying to promote.
They just call him Giannis.
Okay, that's beautiful, but Giannis does not roll off the tongue like Ben from Philly. Ben
ain't from Philly.
Franklin. Ben. I can't think of anybody else named Ben.
Exactly.
And Ben Simmons. But when you think about it, the year will actually work well for them because this will be Brett Brown's last year. Because if there's hype and people believe the team should be better than they are, when they're not that good, heads roll.
I think it depends. I think it depends on how they play. If they win 40 games, 30, because
they're not winning 40.
I don't either. I don't
the
think
line
they
has
win
them
either.
at 41.
The line has them between 39 and 41, and it's fluctuated. But what I'm saying is, if they get around 40 wins, he's here next year. The thing is, I agree with you. I don't think they get there because of the fact that their whole contingent of their offense and the way they're going to move is supposed to be a two-man duo, Batman Robin, with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. You're not going to be able to count on Embiid.
They're not including
the whole weight of the team is on Ben Simmons, and he's not enough.
They're not including Joel Embiid. You cannot convince me that Brian Colangelo is sitting in the office and honestly believes Joel Embiid is going to play more than 11 games. I don't buy that. I do think that someone needs to say, look, Ben Simmons probably shouldn't be playing point guard. Look.
He can't play the four.
Well, actually, I think, just as a side note.
Can't play the
four. Just as a side note, I actually think not only could he play the four, if they were to legitimately coach him to play the four position, and not the way that they played the four in the 80s or the 70s.
More like a Josh Smith, like that real athletic attack the rim type.
Similar to, actually, I was more, not saying he's like Dirk Nowitzki, but more like a Dirk Nowitzki, Chris Webber.
He's not
Kevin
those guys.
Garnett.
Those guys have post games
and
jump shots, something he doesn't have.
Actually, Chris Webber and Kevin Garnett developed a jump shot, but I get your point. Have you ever watched Ben Simmons play in the post? Have you ever watched, and I'm being serious
No.
now. I have.
Where? High school?
No, in LSU, he actually has a post game. But if you could run a high screen and roll with a legitimate point guard, a legitimate penetrating point guard who can shoot.
Who's that?
Nobody on the Sixers. I'm just saying if they did, they
So you're talking 3 years down the road?
I'm actually saying that would be the best way to preserve him because you're not going to.
Yeah, you're not going to preserve him letting him handle the ball and all that.
His wear and tear it's not going to work. And that's the point I was getting at. But just oddly enough, if they really invested in playing with the power forward, I think he could be. I really think he could be special. His passing, his feel for the game, he finishes through contact. He's a phenomenal rebounder. He's got great ball instincts, which manifests itself into his passing. So people think he's such a great passer, but he's got such a great feel for the ball. But anyway, I'm all completely off track.
Yeah, are you done with your love fest? I mean, listen. At the end of the day, here's what I want to know.
How does this end? Call me out.
See, I know how it's going for the Lakers. How does this end for the Sixers, though?
We're going to ask that question throughout the year again and again and again. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to answer you this way. This is a year of transition for them.
Fair.
They will allow them to move on from Brett Brown.
Okay.
And it will allow them to move on from Joel Embiid. And that's what this year will give the Sixers. It will give them a clean slate.
So they're going to keep Okafor over Embiid.
They're going to keep Okafor because Okafor, A, is going to have a good year. B, you're not going to get a good offer for Okafor.
That's true.
You're not going to get even a Nerlens Noel offer.
Fair offer for him.
But fair is subjective. You're not going to get the Nerlens Noel offer was essentially just to get Nerlens out of town because A didn't fit, B didn't want to be here, and C, he wasn't really as good as people thought he was going to be, as you're seeing in Dallas because he's going to come off the bench. Although I think Dallas will be better than people think. We'll talk about that later. So to answer your question, this allows the Sixers to transition to a whole new era, the Ben from Philly era.
Goodbye.
We'll be right back with more NBA Files.
This isn't Madison Square Garden. These drills probably won't make anyone a #1 draft pick. But these players are practicing for something important. While they work on their jump shots, they're also learning teamwork, discipline, self-confidence, how to deal with wins and losses. Skills that will make them winners long after they leave the court. Support high school activities in your community, because when kids take part, they get set for life.
Welcome back to the NBA Files, broadcasting from downtown Philly. Season 2, getting ready for the upcoming NBA season. That is Everett Terry. I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones. Carmelo Anthony, one of my favorite players.
Hoodie Mello.
I hate that.
I like Hoodie Mello.
It's just a bad nickname, man. It feels like it was made by somebody who doesn't like him, so they tried to make, like, sullen his marquee value by giving him a crappy nickname. But anyway, Carmelo Anthony was discussing on SiriusXM Radio about, and this interview piqued my interest. That's why I kept the question and brought it back. He was talking about the trade to Houston. He said him and PG were supposed to go to Cleveland. And they were texting about that. And at the last minute, the deal fell through, so they didn't go. So they say, he's like, oh, so now me and my people are getting together, and we're going over how we're going to deal with the New York media. And then I get the phone call, you want to go to Oklahoma City? And he said, well, now, yeah. So my question for you, Everett Terry, is a known Carmelo hater and basher, a guy that loathes Carmelo Anthony. Is that the guy that you want coming into your team? A guy that says, well, I guess so.
This is only speaking to why I say Carmelo didn't fit. He didn't want to be there because he's not going to be an alpha dog. He's not even going to be, he's not going to be the second option. He might be the third option.
He may actually be right on this.
And my thing is, because he doesn't play defense, he's a black hole on offense, and Russell Westbrook will not defer to anybody unless he feels like it. The problem with Melo is he's used to being the alpha dog, calling the shots and being his own guy. And he's going to be in a position, this isn't USA basketball where you're playing for pride. You're playing for a title. And you already know that you're not good enough to beat the Golden State Warriors.
You always play for pride, though.
Man, stop it. There's guys that play for money. Melo stayed in New York for money. He could have went and played for a title, but chose money. So I don't want to hear about pride when he chose to stay with a crappy organization that he knew wasn't going anywhere to get a $100 million contract. Okay, that said, I didn't think it was a good move for them when they got him. I don't think it's a good move for them now, and I don't think it's going to be a good move long term.
But here's the issue.
New York wins in this, by the way.
New York doesn't win. New York never wins.
They win because they got him off the books. They got his attitude, his media attention off their contract.
Yeah, but they got a guy in Enes Kanter. They're essentially the slowest team in the NBA.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter, especially in the Eastern Conference where there are no centers.
But the East is slow.
I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back to the question. They should be concerned for a number of reasons. You just re-upped Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. So Russell's going to be there now. Mm-hmm. The first time things go awry with Carmelo Anthony, you're pretty much going to get to do this. I didn't want to be here. It's like when you're in a bad relationship.
Yep.
So you're in a bad relationship.
And you know it's bad. You're still hanging on. And the first thing he says, you knew I didn't want to be here, but you made me stay.
And the worst part about that is she's pregnant now.
Oh.
Like the worst part about that is
stab me with a spoon.
She's pregnant because, and what I mean by that realistically is, she ain't going anywhere.
No, she's around for the next
18 years.
Strong.
18 years. You're going to be, next 2 years, you are stuck with Carmelo Anthony because there's nobody coming to take Carmelo away from you. No. And then it's like it's the domino effect. Paul George. And I like Oklahoma City. I think if you get a focused Melo, but I liked Oklahoma City. In full disclosure,
we haven't seen focused Melo since Denver.
I've liked Oklahoma City before they actually added Carmelo. I
thought they were better with Paul George. Paul George is a great complimentary player.
Now I'm wondering how to. Now I still like them, but when I hear those words and that demeanor come out of his mouth, it takes me to a time where it's like you're trying to rap to a girl. She's at the bar. You say, "I got your number." They go, I guess so. You know those 7 digits ain't gonna get you to her house.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
That's the Google number.
That's
the Google number. You're gonna hit it. It's gonna go to a voicemail that has not been set up yet. You're gonna be sitting there feeling like you got okey doked.
Or it's the fax number. Remember when you called and get that fax and you push your buttons when you first got like, maybe she wants me to fax her instead. That's what you got right now. And so look, it's a horrible situation to be in for all parties involved if Carmelo doesn't give you something.
What's he going to do when he has games where he shoots 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. He's not going to shoot 15, 20, 25
Thing
shots
is,
a game.
he doesn't need to shoot that much. That's the problem. The
His
perception
efficiency
going
isn't
in
as
is
good
that
as
he
it used
has
be.
to.
His efficiency isn't as good as
But
it
he
used
doesn't have to do that. If he gives you a 25-point game every 10 games, every 15 games, you cool in the game.
You are.
He ain't. That's the issue. And you would think going in, it's like, I wanted to get out of New York. This is what you want to hear. I wanted out of New York. So when the Cleveland deal fell through, I was thinking, where are my best opportunities to win? You didn't hear that. Where I was thinking, who can I feel like is going to take my game to the next level? You didn't hear that. Where's the best opportunity for me to get back to playing basketball and having fun? You didn't hear that. What you heard was, well, now, it's like I'm gonna take it to a different sport. It's like Jeffrey Lurie with the Philadelphia Eagles. You lose the winningest coach in your franchise history, arguably the best coach. Probably Andy Reid's the best coach in your franchise history, and you say the reason why you hired Chip Kelly, he was the most recognizable name available. Issues, problems, destruction. You know it's gonna happen. I'm concerned as a Melo fan. I've got trepidation now as a Melo fan because I love Russell Westbrook. I love, and we're going to ask a question later on. Russell Westbrook's going to be my answer. I really, sincerely am worried about what's going to happen when Billy Donovan doesn't reel Russ in. And
he's not. We didn't see it last year. We're not going to see it again ever. Russ knows he runs that team. He runs that organization.
And Melo struggled with Allen Iverson, who's the one player who reminds people of Allen Iverson.
Click, boom. And a bigger, stronger version, a more ratchet hood version. Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went there.
Yeah.
You went there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm leaving that building. I'm leaving that building. I'm leaving that building. No man that wears a sheer shirt is hood. Sheer shirt hood doesn't go together.
We agree on his dress code.
Capri pants and hood.
We also know that Allen Iverson would throw slick shade to somebody and keep it moving. Russell Westbrook, the type that'll walk in there and say, throw hands.
Yeah, that is true. Look,
that's the difference.
Speaking of one interesting leader, Kevin McHale.
Yeah.
We're going to transition from one player in the Western Conference, one current Oklahoma City Thunder, to a former Oklahoma City Thunder. See how well I did that? That's called professional.
Good segue.
Kevin McHale, former coach of the Houston Rockets, and known James Harden adorer, said that James Harden is not a leader. But he didn't say it in the sense where he was trying to be critical of him or take shots at him. He specifically said that he's not a leader and that he's more about, just going out and hooping and having fun. But the thing that stuck with me was he said Chris Paul will push James Harden and hold him to a higher standard.
Agree.
Everett Terry, I'm going to ask you this question.
Agree.
Do we hold these comments to be truth and self-evident?
Absolutely. We know everything about Chris Paul since the moment he's walked in the NBA till now is he rubs guys the wrong way because he's a competitor and he pushes guys. He pushed everywhere he went. He pushed in New Orleans. He pushed in the Clippers. He's going to push here.
I'm going to look outside while you peddle this nonsense.
Go ahead. Listen, Chris Paul's a guy who is competitive.
Stay outside, look at the
Everything
cars.
he does, he likes to win. Even the little bowling thing that he does on PBA Tour on Sundays in the offseason.
He likes to win.
He likes to win.
Has Chris Paul ever made it to the
that guy has
conference finals?
Listen,
how about my man? Has he ever played in the NBA finals?
You can't lay all that at his feet.
Okay.
You can't lay all that at his feet.
When they won the NBA gold medal, was Chris Paul on the bench?
Oh,
okay.
Man.
I mean, when they won the U.S. gold medal, was he on the bench?
So that's how we gonna do it. USA gold medal?
I'm asking other people because you obviously aren't hearing me when I talk about Chris Paul.
The point I'm making is I understand all of that you're saying, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a competitive fire under him that is clearly something that's noticeable, and it's a part of how he's embedded in his DNA. And that's why LeBron loves Chris Paul, because he's got the same competitive fire LeBron has. And I'm a LeBron detractor, but he admitted Chris Paul probably is the only other person beside Kobe Bryant who's more competitive than I am.
I love how you try to soften your blows by throwing LeBron in.
Because I knew you weren't going to bash it at that point. I knew it.
I'm still going hard. Look,
I knew it.
Let me first defend James Harden, who I was a big fan of coming out of Arizona State.
I like this game when he smacked Temple in the NCAA.
Well, no, I was one of the few people that said he would do well. I remember Doug Gottlieb went on the air and said that he would struggle, he would have weight problems, all those things.
Right.
I disagreed. I thought he had a good mindset. The big thing about James Harden that I've always loved is he has an immaculate basketball IQ.
We agree.
That's why I didn't like the Markelle Fultz comparisons, because Markelle Fultz couldn't hold a candle to his basketball IQ.
Basketball IQ, right.
But James Harden doesn't have to be the leader.
No.
Your best player should be your leader, but if they're not, so be it. You know, it just your best player needs to be your leader. Your best player needs to be your leader.
Kevin Durant, but we're going to because I'm glad you just said it, but go ahead.
It should be your leader, but the problem is, the issue is, Chris Paul
you see what I did.
is going to be the leader.
Of course.
And he's only going to lead you to a certain level. He's only going to lead you to a certain place.
Let me ask you a question. Who's better in terms of a fit in the playoff run, James Harden or Blake Griffin?
Oh, that's not the question.
Answer it, though.
That's not the question.
Who's a better fit? Because I think that James Harden and Chris Paul will go further than Chris Paul and Blake Griffin ever did.
To quote the great philosopher Dave Chappelle, fifth.
Yeah,
Here's the issue I have. And it's making me itch, makes my neck stand up. These are the exact words from Kevin McHale. I'm going to read this verbatim. I wanted to read this verbatim.
Please.
Because when your coach,
to the audience.
When your coach says this, your coach who played with one of the greatest players of all time,
and Larry Bird,
guy who knows what it takes to win,
played like 8 Hall of Famers too, by the way,
and drafted Kevin Garnett, who at that time was a anomaly.
Yes.
You know, was a different type of power forward. That's what he said. You've got to play better D. Are you going to listen to him? Like, you got to be kidding me. I've lived through it. Believe me, everybody in the locker room did this. Speaking to when James Harden comes into the locker room and says, you got to play better D, he said the teammates would say this. Then he said, every time Harden mentioned defense, everybody would put their head down. So I just think about this. Your coach says every time you mention defense, you would put your the teammates.
You got to
put their head
lead
down
by example.
Everett Terry, ET, my man. Who is the coach of the Houston Rockets?
Well, now?
Yes. Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah.
Has Mike D'Antoni ever been known to even coach defense?
No.
So you've got a guy who doesn't play defense.
With a coach that
doesn't coach defense. And you got a guy who you've a pit bull in a uniform. He's a great leader. Who is probably still one of the top defensive guards in the league.
One of the top.
Again, we go from one disaster to a forthcoming disaster.
But I think that because James Harden's coming into the prime of his career, players evolve, and sometimes players pick up skills along their line that they didn't have.
You are who you are in this world.
Jason Kidd wasn't a jump shooter, and he developed one over time because he evolved. I think that it's not impossible. I think it's not impossible for Chris Paul to light a fire under Harden in a way that may encourage him to become a better defender. Not all world, not NBA all first team, second team, but I'm talking about at least be in front of your man and not be playing, matador defense, just letting the guy blow past you. And that's all they're looking for. Be a presence. You can't call yourself a leader when you don't lead by example. If you're doing it, now you can call other guys to the carpet on it.
You are who you are in this world.
Okay.
You're either a wolf or you're a sheep.
Yep. That's
James
true.
Harden on offense is a wolf. James Harden on defense is a sheep.
Man, he's more like what's the young one coming out? The veal cutlet.
I mean, he's a Billy Goat.
Yeah, Billy.
It ain't happening. And Chris Paul can only get you here. So when Chris Paul is yelling at James Harden to play defense, he's going to give him the LeBron, Steph Curry, when I just blocked your shot in the finals look back. Man, I've been in the Eastern Conference. I've been in the Western Conference Finals. Where you been? That's the look he's going to give him. And Chris Paul's going to be mad. Chris Paul,
I don't think
irritates people. He's an agitator.
Because he wants you to play hard.
Because he feels like I'm this size and I can do things. You're bigger, you should be able to do things. The problem is at where Chris Paul is at his level of game and where James Harden is, it's not the same. Chris Paul's going here. James Harden's going here.
Well, they're also separated by how many years?
But the point is, the first time.
But in Chris Paul's prime of his career, who was a better overall player? Chris Paul wasn't
about
close.
If Swifts and back in the days. We're talking about now. We're talking about right now. And you're going to try to motivate a dude who is known to go child please on defense.
But we don't know what his motivation will be. Maybe having somebody next to him that's going to push him might be what he's at. When has he ever had somebody come to him and say you need to play better defense? That was better than him on the team.
Who's better than him on the team?
Listen, when he was
nobody. That's the point.
Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were both better than him. Can we agree? Do you think either one of them screamed defense to him? Probably not, because he was coming off the bench, barely playing his job.
I was just about to say they may have. They may have. When he played in Oklahoma City, I will say this about James Harden: we'll never know if he suppressed his game or if management suppressed his game. But what we do know is when he was given the ball in Houston, he was the James Harden everyone thought he would be when he was drafted 3rd overall.
Right.
So now Chris Paul, who was in the twilight of his career, who was given to Houston, is going to try to tell me what to do? Man, listen. Man, listen.
I think he makes them better.
I know you think because you like Chris Paul, but let's say what we know. And what we know is Chris Paul is the same dude that goes out every year in the second round of the playoffs and will be sitting here telling us what he should be doing.
But he makes great State Farm commercials.
Debatable. We'll be right back on the NBA Files.
Climate change is changing our world in more ways than you may think. Because it's not just climate that's changing. People are changing the way they live their lives and the way they see the world. And these changes are the beginning of something huge. It's good. Because we need to act now before the next big storm hits, to strengthen and restore the natural defense system that protects us all from high water and winds. The climate is changing, but so are we. Learn what you can do.
Welcome back to the NBA Files. We're going to go on a somber note. This is where I murder Everett for the remainder of the show.
What?
Yeah, that's why you were black today.
What?
That's why you were black. Look, welcome back to NBA Files broadcasting in Philly. Cam, I'm Kwame Fisher-Jones.
I wore black because it's
Everett
sunny.
produced by New Video Productions. It is not summer. It is October. It's an hour
And it's
before
82
Halloween.
degrees outside.
That's called Indian weather. That's not summer.
I don't care what it's called. It's 82 degrees outside.
Summer is from June to July. June to August, possibly September.
I go out what the weather report says. I don't care what season it is.
He gonna have a flu in a week.
That's fine.
He gonna have a flu
And I'll
in a
be
week.
out here sniffling and snuffling and still killing you out here.
Speaking
Come
of
on.
dudes that don't know what the hell they talking about, 93%. So NBA.com does a wonderful survey where they poll front office members from general managers and scouts and ask some questions about certain players and teams in the league. 93% of the people polled said the Warriors will win the title.
Accurate.
Now, normally I would ask you a question, but because I know you are sniffing the very same glue that they are sniffing, I'm going to give you 3 reasons, bang, 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 why the Warriors will not win the title.
Producer, can I get a pen? Just talk
Why
that
they
over.
will not win the title. I don't need no pen. Just
No, I
listen.
wanna hear this nonsense.
This is simple. This is simple.
There it is.
You
Thank
got
you.
a tougher conference.
Tougher conference.
Tougher conference. Write that down.
Okay.
All right. And conference is spelled CONFERENCE.
Right.
ENCE.
I won 3 spelling bee championships. Don't need it. Thanks. Carry
Well,
on.
that's when the dictionary had about 2,000 less words in it. Now, next thing. Everyone hates Kevin Durant. Everyone hated Chris. Everyone hates Raymond.
Okay.
Everyone is coming for Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Everyone
What's
is
the
coming
last
for
one?
Kevin Durant.
I'm waiting for one that's actually basketball based.
Fine. Those 2 are basketball based.
Okay.
And finally, when you go through the history of the league and you look through the conglomerate of dynasties, you see the Lakers. You see the Celtics.
See the Bulls.
You see the Bulls.
Because Jordan was a dynasty. Don't even dare disrespect the great Michael Jeffrey.
No,
Jordan.
okay, you see the Bulls. I was
Okay.
being smart. You see
All
the
right.
Bulls. You do not see the Golden State Warriors.
Not yet. But
No,
carry on.
they're not a dynasty.
Okay.
They're not a dynasty.
Okay.
They don't have the look of the dynasty. They have the more look of an offensive version of the Bad Boys.
Oh, okay.
And I said last year, mark the tape, that the San Antonio Spurs would beat the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
To win.
Of course, there was an injury that derailed that
Right.
pronunciation.
Okay.
I'm not picking the Spurs.
Oh.
But
So all that not picking the Spurs. Carry
No,
on.
but I do believe that Oklahoma City that the Golden State Warriors will not win the title.
Who
this year.
beats them? This is the question, because you got to give a team, and it's only 4 possibles. We're playing spades here.
No, you're right, and you know I'm conflicted, and here's why. I'll explain why. I hate ifs, whiz, and coulds. I feel like they're bricks on the road to failure and disappointment. However, there's going to be some trades made, and in the Western Conference, I also believe that Oklahoma City, while they may not match up well against other teams, they match up perfectly with Golden State. They match up perfectly with Golden State. I believe that Houston is another team that's not going to beat Golden State, but I said last year that they would give Golden State a run for their money. They really didn't do that, but I think that Houston will give Golden State a tougher competition. And
Oh, because tougher competition equals winning series. Gotcha.
well, should they come out of the West, the visible Gooch is sitting there.
Who?
My man, 50 grand. The man whose poster y'all won't let me hang up because it covers
You
the
talking about
backdrop.
LeBron James with
No.
40?
I'm talking about the great LeBron James.
With 43-and-a-half-year-old Dwayne Wade.
I'm going to need you to. Ain't nobody talking about no Dwayne Wade.
Who's coming off the bench, by the way?
I'm talking about LeBron James is sitting there waiting. Those hurdles will be too much.
5'5" Isaiah Thomas at point.
Ain't nobody talking about no damn Isaiah Thomas. I'm talking about
facts.
LeBron James. So for that,
is that all of that? Are you done? Are you done?
Well, you interrupted me multiple times to try to dull my knife.
Like I'm, Mr. Rogers, get to this.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Get the point. Great. Okay, so tougher conference. When has the Western Conference not been tough?
Last year.
Stop it.
Last
Western
year.
Conference has always been the tougher conference
Did
versus
they not
the East.
steam through a weak Western Conference?
When's the last time LeBron faced any opposition in the East?
Are we talking
Answer
about the Golden State Warriors? Or are we talking about LeBron James?
Answer my question. When's the last time the East has been tougher than the West?
My question. This is not this.
When's the last time the East has been tougher than the West?
Peanut butter and jelly wasn't good?
I don't know. It depends on how you make it. But
exactly. And it got no point to the question.
The point I'm making to you is the East has perennially, for at least the last decade, not been better than the West. The West has always been the tougher conference. Next one. Everybody hates Durant. People have hated Durant forever. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care about being hated. He's here to win games.
Pause. You just said a lot without saying anything. You said LeBron James in the Eastern Conference. Let's go back to the tougher Western Conference. Did you not add 3 of the top 10 offensive players to that conference and go to formidable teams?
Did they all go to the same team?
They didn't go to the same team, but they added to 3 formidable teams. Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, while I don't think
don't fit.
Exactly. But you know who didn't? You know who also didn't seem to fit now? The comparison is not on results. It's going to be compared on the fact that you can make it work to achieve a certain goal. Kevin Durant didn't necessarily fit with the Warriors. He didn't necessarily fit with the Warriors.
He came in and replaced Harrison Barnes. And all he did was basically take part of all of Harrison Barnes' shots and take part of the shot from Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. Steph even deferred shots to him to let him do what he did.
But before
he
they
fit
played,
just fine.
He fit after the fact. But going in, there were questions. How is Durant going to fit? How is Durant going to play defense? There were all these questions. Golden State made it work. Now, I'm not saying Oklahoma City is going to make it work.
Because they play selfless basketball and they hear about team concept and blah, blah, blah.
And I'm not saying Oklahoma City is going to make it work to the tune of a title.
They won't.
But can they make it work enough to possibly beat Golden State? Yes.
You want to talk about sniffing glue? Because that's what you just sniffed. Are you crazy?
You know what?
Listen,
I'll say it right now.
Oklahoma City, if they play Golden State, won't even see Game 7. Book it.
You know what?
They won't see Game 7.
I will take you up on that bet. And not only will I take you up on that bet, I say Oklahoma City will beat Golden State.
Write that down, producer. Lunch on him or lunch on me. I'm calling it right now. They don't see Game 7.
I call it.
They're not good enough to take them 7 games.
I think they beat.
Russell Westbrook will shoot them out of the playoffs like he always does.
With that said, I want to make sure I put clarity there in context. I am not saying that Oklahoma City is going to win the NBA title.
No, but you're saying they're going to be Golden State.
Yeah, I'm saying if they come in over,
no way in hell.
I think they beat Golden State.
The only way they beat them is if somebody falls and breaks their leg, or there's a car accident and guys can't play, or somebody's suspended. That healthy roster versus that healthy roster, they got no shot.
You know why they win? Kevin Durant is, I just said it last time, Kevin Durant is who is, and I'm going to give it back to you because you got to finish your points. Kevin Durant is who he's always been. He's always been a guy who, while he's a phenomenal scorer, he won a title last year, but that team won a title last year.
He carried them in the finals. Did you not watch the finals? Did he carry them, yes or no?
Steph Curry had a triple-double.
Did he carry them in the finals, yes or no?
No, they didn't.
Who hit the game-winning shot, the clutch shot? Game 3.
So that means he carried? That means he carried?
That was the turning point in the series. And he brought it the next 2 games to close it out.
I'm not going to debate last year's finals with you because that was the point.
Please don't.
The point is, I believe that with the matchups as presently construed, with Carmelo Anthony having to be defended by either Draymond Green or Kevin Durant, I like Carmelo Anthony in that matchup. Those are 2 guys. Those are the only, I won't say the only, those are 2 guys that I think Carmelo can shot for.
That only works if Russell gives him the ball, which he won't.
Hold on. The pace in which Golden State plays with will allow Oklahoma City and their core 3, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, and Russell Westbrook, to get enough shots up to impact the game. Any other pace, San Antonio, then Russell's selfishness is at the forefront. And I love you, Russ, but your selfishness.
They don't even get past San Antonio. San Antonio's a better team.
Look, I said if they play.
Kawhi Leonard takes Russell Westbrook out of the series and they lose.
The debate isn't if Oklahoma City makes it anywhere. The debate is Oklahoma City
Golden State,
they win.
They're not going to.
That's the debate.
Carry on.
That is where it comes. We're going to chop this segment up, and I'm going to play it over and over and over again throughout the year.
By the way, one last point. You talked about the fact that they're not a dynasty. You know why they're not a dynasty? Is because they lost the 1 year that they should have when LeBron came back down 3-1, and dynasties don't do that. Fair fair. But going to 4 straight finals and winning 3 chips will make them a dynasty. Anybody who follows basketball will tell you that.
If they go to 4, but that's why I said
they're going to 4.
It's just because you say it like this doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Last year, I was right last year too.
Who
They're going to 4.
didn't pick them? Who didn't pick Golden State?
93% of people picked them this year.
No, not actually 93 didn't. That's actually, we'll get back to that. And I don't even know how much time we got left in the segment. But yeah, look, write it down. I write it down, and I want to move on. We're going to make this bet. I believe Oklahoma City beats Golden State.
Listen, there's a great restaurant right around the corner. I'll have my menu order already wrapped out. You can pick it up to go, bring it in. I'm going to sit right here on set and eat it.
So I want to prove you wrong. I want to talk about another thing you've been wrong about. I got to get used to these people walking by.
Y'all like them. Hey, how you doing?
It's different. It adds a different decor.
It's going to be terrible when it's snowy and everything.
No, I think it'll be dope when it's snowy out. I think it'll be dope when it's
people slip and fall. The brown snow, people driving slow.
So we're going to stick with the front office mess. Front office executives rank the top 4 Western Conference teams. Mostly everybody. In this order: Golden State, Houston, San Antonio, and OKC.
Sounds about right.
Rounds out the 4. In that particular order. I disagree with the order, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, maybe Spurs are slightly ahead.
I didn't see the Minnesota Timberwolves in that top 4.
No, because they're not a top 4 team, but they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team for sure. 6 seed, maybe 5 seed. But they got to have a year to develop and grow and gel together. Jimmy Butler is a great
They got to have a year to develop. How many years does Andrew Wiggins get?
We're not talking.
I want Andrew Wiggins' apologist.
I'm talking about
because they give it. Andrew Wiggins gets more extensions.
I'm not talking about developing Andrew Wiggins. I'm talking about their team developing a chemistry to play well together. They need a year. You literally went and blew most of that roster up and brought in.
And why did you do that?
Because the team that they had constructed couldn't win enough games to make the playoffs.
And who's on the team that they had constructed?
Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Zach LaVine.
And I think, Zach LaVine
is now traded. He's
in
Chicago.
I can't argue because you can always go to, but I stand by this. Zach LaVine doesn't get hurt. They have a serious issue on their hands with Andrew Wiggins. Do you max Andrew Wiggins or do you max Zach LaVine? Because Zach LaVine has gotten progressively better as a player.
He has.
As a player. Andrew Wiggins has gotten better as a scorer. But
fair.
Karl Anthony Towns is a good player. I think we both agree with that.
He's arguably top 5 at his position in basketball right now.
The question is Andrew Wiggins. Where do you rank him? You wouldn't rank him in the top 10 of this position, would you?
At small forward?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say small forward.
He's right. He's around there.
He's teetering. Okay, it's questionable at best.
If you're a top 10 player in the world at your position, I'll take it.
Yeah, but that's not what you drafted number 1 pick overall going into his 4th year.
We're talking about Markelle Fultz, who you don't even know wants to play, and we're talking about a guy who's top 10 at his position in the NBA.
You love changing the story. Look,
I'm keeping it real. He's the number 1 overall pick.
Markelle Fultz shouldn't have been the number 1 overall pick. He shouldn't have been.
Man,
I mean, if you want me,
neither should Anthony Bennett, but he was, and he's not even in the NBA.
But I've been right on so many times, and I'll take the hit on Anthony Bennett. I was wrong about Anthony Bennett. That's fine. Moving along, I can sit here all day and take apart Markelle Fultz's game. I'm not going to do that. There's no reason to do that. The truth will come out, just like it's come out on Andrew Wiggins. You're going into the 4th year of the 1st overall pick, and you're debating if he's worth a max contract. You just traded. And you will deny this, but you know I'm right, for the very dude that plays at his position, who is better than him at his position.
Jimmy Butler's a 2. He can play the 3.
How tall is Jimmy Butler?
6'7".
6'7", 6'8", right? How tall is Andrew Wiggins?
6'8".
6'8", 6'9", right?
Right.
Same damn position.
No.
Same damn position.
Jimmy Butler's more of a shooter, so he can play the 2.
He's a better player. And you're looking at the landscape of the guy. You're looking at the landscape of your Andrew Wiggins. And I say your Andrew Wiggins because it's yours, not mine. It's yours. And you're going, where is he going to ascend to? And you've got questions. So what do? You go out and you light a match. You blow this team up. And then in the process,
well, you make it easier because he now becomes the 3rd option. Because he's going to be 3rd behind Towns and Butler.
Okay, so he's going to be 3rd behind Towns and Butler.
No pressure. He just has to come out and be great.
So Teague isn't anywhere in the equation here.
Teague's in there. He's the 4th option. Teague's not there to score. Teague's there to facilitate and run a good offense.
Never been a facilitator in his life.
That's fine, but I'm
never been a facilitator in his life.
But what I'm telling you is he's not going to be the guy who's looking to get his shot off first. He's going to defer that ball quick if he wants to play in Thibodeau's offense.
I wish we could get another bet up here because I don't pay up on my bets. So all you know, I don't pay up on my bets. If I lose, I never lose. So people are always willing to bet me. But I want to pull your coat to this. I'm willing to go on record and say that as the year goes on and proceeds, we will hear more about Andrew Wiggins becoming a great team player. And he's sacrificed his game. And he's focused on defense now. And less about Andrew Wiggins being a franchise player. Write it down because he's never.
I've never thought that he was a franchise player. Karl Anthony Towns is a franchise player. I think
him
that he's a
overall.
very good. Being number one doesn't mean you have to be a franchise player.
You have to at least be. I have to at least.
You just have to be the best player in that draft class. That doesn't make you a franchise player.
I wouldn't even say he's the best player in that draft class.
That's arguable. But the point.
At number one, it shouldn't be. At number one, it should. At number one, it should be. You pull it
But
out of
it
me every
just
time.
happened.
Okay.
With
4
Markelle
years?
Fultz.
Yeah, but all right.
It
look,
just happened.
look.
And you just sat here and said on record that Markelle Fultz should have been the number one over because people thought he was the best player in the draft class.
No, I didn't. I never thought he should have been number one. I said that I would, if you're the Sixers, I would not have traded. Look, we'll clear that up, and we'll just put this boat to the center. I just want to throw this out there. The Dallas Mavericks are a team I believe make the playoffs over the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Goodbye.
I believe they make
Never.
the playoffs over
Dirk's
Minnesota
100 years old.
Timberwolves. Just on this mark,
I can run a faster 40 than Dirk.
Yeah, you can, but they've got Harrison Barnes, who's I was shocked played that well.
20 points per. Okay.
But Dennis Smith Jr.
I like Dennis Smith.
And
I like
there's
his
two
game.
other things that Dallas never gets credit for: Rick Carlisle
I like Rick Carlisle.
and their scouting department. And they're one
Why?
of
Because
those
they
teams.
found Yogi, whatever his name was last year.
They find everybody.
Burrow
They
off
find
the
everybody. Did you
scrap
think
heap.
Harrison Barnes would be this good?
Harrison Barnes is what he was in North Carolina, a scorer who does nothing else.
He didn't score that well
What
in
else?
North Carolina.
He was averaging 20. That's
I
what
gotta
he
look
averaged
that up.
last year. What else is he doing besides averaging 20?
He's also a better rebounder, better defender.
Come on,
And look,
stop
you
it.
you
Who do you lock up?
what type
You talking about
what
he's a
type
better defender? Who do you lock up?
He's a good team.
What game was he? What game was he noted for playing?
He
a
locked up
remarkable
Andrew
defense?
Wiggins on October 29th. Like, what difference does that
Goodbye.
make? Like, how do you transition to that to a break? On that asinine question.
I'm just asking a question. You're the one talking about he's a better defender. I said, who did he defend? Who did he do such a great job defending on?
All the threes. I can give you his defensive. All right, you know what? We're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up his defensive efficiency.
Yeah, please do.
numbers
Take a
for
minute. Do that.
I'm going to get the numbers to make you feel better. Everett, Kwame, Fisher Jones, beautiful Philly Cam. We'll be right back with you on NBA Files.
All right.
One of my friends is living on the street.
I know someone who can help. Trust the National Runaway Switchboard. If you're having a hard time, get online or call to chat now.
Welcome back to the NBA Files. Before we went to break, my colleague here, Everett, posed a question to me, and I got all my sugar nugged, and instead of just simply saying what I'm about to say, I played the game. Asked me about defensive efficiency. Who was the Golden State Warriors defensive player when Harrison Barnes was on the team? It was Draymond Green and Harrison Barnes.
No,
they
Klay
were there
Thompson. Stop it.
Okay, so we're gonna move along.
Everybody
We're gonna
knows
move
Klay Thompson is the
Klay Thompson
perimeter defender
stepped
that they
up
have to win.
afterwards. But we had so many.
They
we
put
got so
Iguodala
many-
in for defense over Harrison Barnes. Or
they
did
put
you forget that?
They put Iguodala.
They
in.
put Iguodala in for defense over
That
Harrison
was their
Barnes.
defensive lineup. That was their
But you just sat here and
defensive
talked about how great of a defender he was, but they had him on the bench for defense.
No, they didn't
Stop
have him on
it.
the bench for defense. They brought in Iguodala along with Harrison Barnes.
Check, please. Carry on.
Why didn't Iguodala start over Barnes?
Because
If
he can't score. But they have him in for defense when they need to lock
And
up.
Harrison Barnes is 8
Why did
points.
Iguodala
and Harrison
win
Barnes
defensive
is
MVP?
8.
Why did Iguodala win MVP of the finals?
Because
he played defense on LeBron in the finals that they won.
LeBron set a record in that final.
That's fine, but when they needed stops, Iguodala was the guy guarding
The
him.
man set
He
an
didn't outscore
offensive record in the finals, came
I
back the
understand
next
that.
year,
I
scored
don't
40 straight points.
I'm not
40
disagreeing with
points.
anything you said. I'm asking you, why did Iguodala
All right,
win
I'm moving,
the MVP?
I'm moving on. I'm not debating Iguodala and Harrison Barnes 4 years ago or
Fine,
3 years ago.
don't. Carry
All
on.
right, we had so much we wanted to get through, but I want to start with this question right here. LeBron James is being picked to win the MVP.
He always gets picked to win MVP.
True, but here's the question I have for you, because this is something, and this is a legitimate question. You beat this drum. Kevin Durant, second best player in the NBA. Kevin Durant, second best player.
Yes.
Second best player. Why is he not being picked by more people to win the MVP?
Because he plays on the best team in the NBA. When you play
So
on the
wouldn't
best,
that mean he should be picked to win the MVP?
no, because the thing is, if you take Kevin Durant off, the Warriors are probably still the best team in the NBA. That's the problem. They were the best team in the NBA before he got there. He coming there only made them better than they already were. But remember, the year before, they won 73 games.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you take a team where they won 73 games without you, even though you're second best player, you come there, you didn't win 75 games, you didn't break your own record,
see,
you
here's what
came
I'm
back,
struggling-
won
here's what
less
I'm
games,
struggling
and
with
did
this
win a
stuff.
finals.
Here's what I'm struggling with
That's why
this.
they don't give it to him.
Normally, the
I understand
MVP goes to the player on, like it hasn't in the last few years, but eventually throughout the award, it's going to the player that's
On the best team.
on the best team. So if he's on the best team, why wouldn't he get that MVP? And realistically, before he got there, he only won, I shouldn't say only, but he won one MVP. So, look, I think it's for a different reason. I personally believe that many people just don't like Kevin Durant on the first hand, but he's not as good on the other facets of the game as other players in the league are. He's just such a great scorer that he's so far beyond everybody scoring-wise, offensively. And I actually think he's gotten better at rebounding.
We agree
but
with
he's
that
not.
as well.
He's still not a good rebounder.
And he's not as their top end defensively, but he's gotten better with that as well.
And he doesn't get enough credit as being a good team defensive player.
But he's gotten better.
So, but I think he was so far behind on everything else that the scoring has eliminated everything. So I think that's why he doesn't get that knock.
Okay.
So for me, the closet MVP guy is Blake Griffin. And I've thrown that out to you time and time again.
The Clippers aren't even going to make the playoffs.
Wow. You don't think Clippers make the playoffs?
Hell no.
You don't think Clippers,
no. Because Blake Griffin.
No. I want you to look
Blake Griffin gets hurt and misses 2 months every single season.
Okay.
And DeAndre Jordan can't score unless he's standing under the basketball hoop.
Okay.
They don't have enough to win. With the roster they have, they don't have enough to win. They're retooling, and that's fine. They will miss the playoffs. They'll be a 9th seed.
Clippers will be a top 6 seed.
Okay.
Write that down. Write that down.
I have to.
I feel like I'm educated. I feel like I should cross my legs if I don't have man parts. You know, the Clippers are going to be a top 6 seed easy this year. Blake Griffin. Give me somebody else other than LeBron and that you have winning the MVP
Other than LeBron winning the MVP
this year.
You know who I take as a surprise? Kawhi Leonard. And I'm
Talk about a dude that gets hurt.
I'm going to tell you, Kawhi has been a horse. He finally gets hurt last year, and now all of a sudden he's injury prone. Stop it.
He got hurt.
Kawhi Leonard wins it because here's the thing.
Kawhi and Blake Griffin both finished the season in suits. Here's
the thing that I think that people are starting to finally realize. Kawhi Leonard is the best, most consistent all-around player in the NBA on both ends of the floor. He guards the best guy night in and night out, never complains, and still manages only to get better as a scorer. He's a marksman from the mid-range, and he can hit the 3-ball. That makes him legit. I think people will finally recognize and give him his credit. That's a dark horse. I don't think he wins it, but it's a dark horse. He's always in the conversation. Always.
Great.
Always.
Great.
All right. Well, you asked.
Just talking about Kawhi puts me to sleep.
I know. Because he doesn't do anything flashy. He doesn't come out here and get on Instagram, make videos, and do stupid stuff at press conferences. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't do commercials.
Look, I love Kawhi.
He just plays ball and goes home like a professional should.
I picked San Antonio to beat Golden State last year.
Right.
I obviously have a high affinity for Kawhi. The problem is I need him to do it. He's already hurt this year.
Okay.
He's already got a quad injury this year.
He's coming back from injury. That's
okay.
fine.
He's already hurt though. He's already hurt. Just
how many games have they played?
I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm just talking about Kawhi.
How many games have they played?
I believe they played 2.
That counted.
I believe they count. They all count. Winning is that's a Philadelphia resident right there. Where winning and competition doesn't matter.
It's preseason.
It's competition.
How many preseason wins get you to the finals?
None.
There it is.
But how much of the effort and reps get you to the finals? All of them. Moving along. Big question. And I think we're probably going to wind up debating this until the end. If you were starting a franchise today and could sign one player, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter. You're starting your franchise and you have
you
one
got to take
player
him as is right now.
As is right now. Who are you taking?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's the youngest with the most upside, and he's already
He was
polished.
number 2 on the list. 21% of the votes. Karl Anthony Towns
Is number 1.
is number 1.
And I was going Karl Anthony Towns, but the only thing with Karl Anthony Towns I haven't seen yet is seen him win. If he can get Minnesota to the playoffs, he becomes my number 1 guy. But when you're losing, 60 games a year, it's kind of hard for me to say, that you should be the number 1 guy. Giannis Antetokounmpo is taking the Bucks with a whole bunch of, 6'8", 6'9" wing guys to the playoffs, and done it at every position.
Look, if I can't rip Giannis, right?
You can't. There's nothing about his game to rip. Other than
I
the fact
expect
he
you
can
to
be a
go.
better
I
shooter.
expect you to go with Karl Anthony Towns in full disclosure.
I know you
You
did.
threw me a curveball there.
I do that.
I'm building around one of 2, and I can't decide which one.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go 1A, 1B, because if you go 1 and 1A, then 1A is essentially 2. So
Correct.
I would either go Ben Simmons or Russell Westbrook. Those are the 2 that I would consider, because I believe personally those are the 2 easiest players to build around.
What have Ben Simmons' career professional stats? He's got the same amount of points, rebounds, and assists as you, me, and everybody else watching this show have combined, collectively.
Correct.
Okay, but you're going to take him over a guy proven like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Karl Anthony Towns.
I think Giannis has peaked, and I don't dislike Giannis.
How old is Giannis? 24, and he's peaked.
Yeah, I think he's peaked. I think
You don't
he's
hit your
got
prime until 27. You're saying he's peaked at 24.
First of all,
Okay.
there is no study that says you hit your prime at your 27. You usually hit your prime going into your 3rd to 4th year. Giannis is in what? His 4th to 5th year if I believe.
No, that's not true that you hit your peak in your 4th year. When did Jordan hit his peak?
Jordan hit his peak since day one because he was averaging like 37 points.
All right.
So I mean, let's not go. But I understand your question. But let me pose this a different way to you then, since you're going to use that as an analogy. The standard player that develops usually hits their prime at about
in their
mid-20s and 5th year. No, not in the mid-20s, because if you come out at 18, your mid-20s, you've already
played. When did LeBron hit his peak?
I would say LeBron hit his peak probably the year they went to the finals and lost to San Antonio.
Best player in the world? Best player in the world was his peak. When did he hit it?
First of all, to answer your question, when they got swept by San Antonio in the finals.
He was not the best player in the world when they got swept by San Antonio.
I actually think he was. Statistically, he was.
Goodbye.
Now, LeBron is a poor comparison because LeBron has stayed in his peak forever.
Yeah, he's been in his peak for like 8 years.
So you're 0 for 2 in your analogy.
He's a long peak, but the point is, he hit his peak. I think Dwayne
Wade would be a better example for
Dwayne Wade is a great example.
And I would say Dwayne Wade hit his peak going into his 4th year because he won his title with Shaq in his 4th, I think.
2006.
I want to say 4th or 5th year. We can look it up. But it was about his 4th year.
He came in the 03 draft. So
that's when he was a monster. And injuries, and then, shortly thereafter, he had the season where he averaged 30 points a game. He became the monster that he is.
Like I said, I still go mid-20s. Like, it's all around mid-20s.
I think it's years. I never think it's I think it's the mileage on the car, not the year of the car. Like Kobe Bryant, people say Kobe Bryant can play because he hasn't even hit this age yet, but he had logged so many years.
Kobe Bryant was at his peak between the ages of 26 and 29.
And I would say,
26 and 29 was when Kobe was regarded as one of the best players in the world.
I understand your point, but I think your examples are horrific because Kobe's another guy that had to change his game from going with Shaq to by himself.
But when he became the man, when he was at the peak of his game, when he could do it all, was 26 and 29.
I have argued in their last title when they beat New Jersey that Kobe was entering another stratosphere, and that's why the Lakers didn't want.
Because they didn't want to trade it. At that
because
point,
he was at his peak.
Age Shaq, or you want to get Kobe.
But he was at his peak, and Kobe wanted to keep Shaq, which is a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But so with that said, for me, I believe Russell Westbrook is an easy player to develop. Easy player to build around. And I think you put the right players around him, you have a guy that can take.
A whole bunch of guys that can play defense and shoot threes.
No, I actually think you can get guys that can score. They just have to be strong. I believe he's similar and a less perceived volatile player to Steph Curry. And we're going to end it on this.
Definitely going to disagree with that.
Well, here's why. I think Steph Curry is another ball-dominant guard. But Steph Curry has a
smart enough to defer when he knows that he's got a hot hand on his team.
He doesn't defer all the time. He defers at moments, but he has guys on his team that will take it from him versus waiting for him to give it to him, which is Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. Those are the type of players that Southern accent came out. Those are the type of players Russell Westbrook has. The difference is Russell is and Steph is so people don't equate them the same. But Steph has that same monster, and that's why I was one of Steph Curry's biggest fans coming out of Davis, and I actually felt he should have gone number one over Blake Griffin. And the only reason why he didn't go is because he wanted to go to New York and play with D'Antonio and, Golden State pulled a hanky and drafted him instead. Moral of the story is you can build a championship around Steph, you can build one around Russell. And I love Ben Simmons' upside. Now, will he deliver on it? The story to be seen. But if I'm picking a team right now, and I've got a guy that a blank slate that I can build around, I'm taking Ben Simmons, and I'm going to throw you something else. I'm putting his butt in the post. I'm making him a 4 and not making him a point guard.
Okay.
On that note, we will be back next week for another installment of NBA Files for Everett, Terry, Kwame Fisher-Jones, New Video Productions. Hold on. How you just gonna try to steal my thing and do it whack? You gotta ball it up.
No, I threw it toward
and your
the camera.
form is off. That's that.
I was throwing it toward the camera.
Your form was off. We'll be back another week with more NBA insight, more NBA irreverency, and more NBA love. Everett Terry, Kwame Fisher-Jones. How good of a New Video Productions. See you next week. As always, we appreciate your time here. Be easy.
All right.